Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. XRP has now been in existence for over a decade. This is, arguably though, the most uncertain time there has ever been to hold XRP, considering the SEC lawsuit against Ripple, as well as powerful macroeconomic events unfolding which may spook stocks and crypto markets further. And we've seen a lot of devastation this year in terms of price action with both. Now, while I'm always willing to acknowledge the risk of holding XRP, or any investment for that matter, I'm not a permable, I could not be more optimistic for the long-term viability of XRP. And there are so many reasons for this. It's clear to me that the SEC is on the wrong side of history regarding their lawsuit against Ripple, and I think time will end up proving this point. I also see that XRP and crypto, it is, just in a general sense, historically oversold. So, and the reason I wanted to mention that is, even if macro events do end up pushing the price of XRP lower than we might historically expect, and that's an if, there will still be a point in time where a bottom is hit, and there will be a reversal. Even though it seems like a virtual certainty, we're going to meet the technical definition of what it is to be in a recession. And even though markets are tremendously down tremendously from recent highs, economies do recover. Economies do recover. Unless you're a doomsday type of person, and you think the United States is about to just not exist, for example, which I think would be an absurd point of view. Things eventually get better, and that always means that more money flows back in to stocks and crypto, and specifically XRP. Which is why I don't know how scared humans are going to get. I don't know where the actual bottom will be. No one knows for sure, and I don't pretend to. I wish that some people were more honest about that, but I'm honest about it. I don't freaking know. I just know that if you look historically at how humans behave, oversold, right? And it just because something's oversold, I know it doesn't mean it can't go lower, and that's what I'm saying though. That's literally what I'm saying right now. But there's also a reason I'm not afraid of macroeconomic events on a larger scale pushing the price down further. And so fine, crypto's never been tested in this type of environment, which is why I'm ready to acknowledge, I am easily, happily acknowledging, maybe happy is the wrong word, but I am acknowledging that could happen. I still don't care, because it has nothing to do with the long-term viability of XRP specifically, or even the broader crypto asset class. And so congrats to all of you paying attention to all of this, while the majority of participants in the crypto markets from the height of the mania in 2021, they have already exited, my friends. So I want to share with you some additional ideas of why I think XRP is going to be worth a freaking fortune in the future. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of the macroeconomic concerns. There's, you guys familiar with Michael Burry of The Big Short? He was a character in The Big Short. He's a real person. But he was played by actor Christian Bale in the movie The Big Short, which is a great movie. I haven't seen that in a long time. I've seen it a couple times. It's really a great movie. It's about Michael Burry, financial guy. He saw the housing collapse from 2008. He saw it coming like years in advance, and everybody thought he was crazy. But he ended up shorting the housing market, and obviously that went well for him, right? Well, he now has concerns about the Fed kind of switching directions, which may be, and I'm not convinced of this. I mean, kudos to him for calling the housing thing. But I mean, you'd be talking about just the Fed being like, okay, we're just not going to worry about inflation ever again. I'll explain what I mean by that. But I want to talk about that. And then there was also this article here from You Today titled, Chris Bernisky, Crypto Will Surpass $3 trillion again and do 10x that by the time we are rolling into the 2030s. That's why, I'm glad I'm on the record right here. I'm not definitely not some sort of oracle. I don't know for sure how everything's going to unfold, and it's going to be a messy ride. But I feel a high level of confidence about certain general ideas. I think as long as XRP continues to be functionally useful, it's going to continue to exist. I think that given that you've already seen a $3 trillion market cap in the crypto space, with only 2 or 3% of humans on the planet having ever held crypto, that's insane. So that's why when you see a headline like this isn't just euphoria for the sake of it. I agree with the idea. Now, I'm not going to make an actual price prediction. I just don't do that. That would be too disingenuous. But happy to share the idea on this topic. I've long said that, even before the crypto asset class ever hit $1 trillion in market cap, when it was down in like about 175 billion with a B, I was saying, look, at some unknown point in the future, we will see $1 trillion crypto market cap. And we've now seen it run up to over 3 trillion. So the fact that it went back below 1 trillion because crypto is volatile shouldn't be surprising to anybody. But at some point, it will be above that $3 trillion mark again, because people value the types of attributes that you can get from digital assets like Bitcoin and XRP, so on and so forth, so they're not going to cease to exist. And when real money flows in, and even more institutional money, and it's actually useful when cryptos are actually being used, yeah, why wouldn't there be tens of trillions of dollars in crypto? Why wouldn't you have some coins, some of the most adopted ones, having multi-trillion-dollar market caps? So, and I actually have a lot more to say. Let me just say before I forget here, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this, XRP, a little under 34 cents, Bitcoin at $20,342, market cap for the asset class $929 billion, and Bitcoin dominance down a little bit again to 41.75%. Here's a crypto fear and greed index, actually up a smidge. A little. It's at 13 out of 100, indicating market participants are still in extreme fear. I thought I'd share this since it only takes a moment here. There's chart analyst Michael Vanderpop. This is a tweet from June 24th, which I missed. But I wanted to highlight this because he's talking about XRP, and he doesn't like XRP at all. And so he used to put out wacky, weird, stupid low XRP price predictions and just expectations that weren't in line with reality. But ever since he got teased a bit after XRP then ran from like whatever it was, 20 something cents after the lawsuit, all the way up to $2. After that, he's been a bit more realistic about what he's had to say about XRP. And I always noticed, I was like, well, in terms of your accuracy rating here, no offense to you, Mr. Vanderpop, but I do find that your accuracy regarding XRP to this point has been rather low compared to any other crypto you talk about. Might there be bias, at play here? But ever since then, he seems to have been a bit more genuine, let's say, as far as his approach to XRP. And he noted on the 24th something that was actually pretty in line with what chart analyst Love Crypto highlighted. Because Love Crypto said, I think the price level he said, and it was around the same time, he expects XRP to, in the short term, ultimately get to 43, 44 cents, something like that. And Michael Vanderpop seems to be thinking that this could happen as well. He said, again, mind you, this is from the 24th this month, but he said, this one is showing strength but rejected at first resistance. Expecting to see a test around 34 cents, and that would be a potential long trigger. Targets are quite easily defined in potentially 43 and 47 cents. So, mind you, at the time, XRP on that day was over 37 cents, and it's gone back down to that range. It's kind of been sloping downwards for the last 5 days or 4 days, whatever it is. And I'm just kind of wondering, are these analysts correct? And we're now going to see that little burst onto the upside. Wouldn't mind seeing it, but it's just kind of fun to track and see who's frequently right surrounding their expectations regarding XRP. And then there was this. So I came across this article that I cited a few minutes ago. It's a Bloomberg article. I came across it because of chart analyst Credible Crypto. So there's this article titled Michael Burry of the Big Short fame warns Fed may alter course. And so Credible Crypto actually did a pretty reasonable job kind of summing up what the article stated, and he simply wrote, retailers like Walmart, Target, Costco, etc. announced last month that they have unexpected excess inventories and announced they will be slashing prices. The argument being made is that lower prices equals drop in CPI, which is Consumer Price Index, which means reduction in inflation equals Fed pivot earlier than expected. Well, consider this. Historically, in recessionary times, you actually do automatically see that the dollar becomes, at least for the short term, deflationary. That's actually very normal. So this, in conjunction with what have I been talking about in recent days? The Fed, 3 times this year, has increased interest rates. So it's the same response you get from people when you increase taxes on something too. The more you tax of something, the less you get of that behavior, whether it's sale of a particular product or service, whatever it is. The more you tax something, the less you get of that thing. Okay, well, the more the Fed increases interest rates, the less incentivized people and businesses would be to take out loans for anything. And even if it just seems like 50 basis points, 0.5%, okay, might sound like not that much. But again, the more you edge in that direction, the less of that activity you get. It's Econ 101, my friends. So that's the direction that's going, that things have been going. So here's what I'd have to say. Michael Burry, hey, hats off to you. Good job on shorting the housing market. It's amazing that actually worked out. But setting aside that, it's like retail purchases, and if you're talking about here specifically like Walmart, Target, and Costco, etc., having excess inventory, I don't pretend to know all the nuts and bolts behind all that. It doesn't matter, but the economy is much bigger than just that. And so even if there's a bit of a surplus all of a sudden and you see the economic tide shifting in a general sense, okay, well, let me tell you this. Fine, yes, like I just cited, you will see an economic slowdown, which will tamp down inflation. That's why the Fed's increasing interest rate. Yes, of course you're going to see that. But when you do that, it's not like snap of a finger, now people just suddenly are getting laid off and this and that. No, it happens over time. So if this is the reason that we're actually seeing this even at these specific retailers, okay, fine. I'd kind of be a little bit surprised if that's the case, to see that type of effect trickle on down to that level. I'd just be a little bit skeptical. But even if it doesn't matter, because there's so much more to inflation. I mean, what about gas prices? What about food? Just pick a category. The economy's so much bigger than all of that. So basically what I'm saying here, and the reason I wanted to talk about this, if you want to know where your crypto is going to go, pay attention to what's happening on a macroeconomic level here. This big picture stuff here. So I'm telling you, if the S word hits the fan, I mean, and you see recession, you could see stocks tank further and you could see crypto tank further. And I don't say that to scare anybody. And if anything, it's more like prepare yourself just in case. Now, if we didn't have these terrible economic times, I would think more likely than not the bottom's in. But this is a wild card here, my friends. That's why I'm admitting I don't know, but be ready for this. And if it comes, it's not a time to freak out. As long as you've got a job and you're able to put food on the table, focus on that. Like, I personally don't care if my net worth goes down because of stocks and crypto. I legitimately don't care. I don't need to sell it anytime soon. It does not matter. As long as I can take care of the expenses that I need to because I have money coming in, got multiple revenue streams. As long as I got that, I'm good. And so as long as you have a job and you can pay for stuff, it doesn't matter. You should always expect over the course of your lifetime, your decades-long adult lifetime, the adult portion of your lifespan, you should expect multiple recessions. You should expect during that time that your net worth will decrease, and you should understand it doesn't matter as long as you have a job and you have money coming in. As long as you can put food on the table, because of that, even though there's inflation, it's fine. It's not a time to freak out about the amount of crypto, what your amount of crypto that you hold is worth relative to the United States. It's not a time to worry about that. That's my humble opinion. I don't worry about it. It does not make logical sense, which is why I'm telling you, if we do see these macro factors result in another mega crash down in stocks or crypto, I will be purchasing. I do have revenue streams and I will be allocating a sufficient amount because I think it's just going to be worth that much more in the future. But is the Fed really going to turn around after all this quantitative, well, for years on end, quantitative easing? When you hear quantitative easing, in a general sense, just think they're printing money. That's what they call it, quantitative easing. It sounds so pleasant. Oh, we're going to ease on the quantitative. Oh, okay, thanks, guys. It's basically just money printing. You can, of course, decrease interest rates. So now what we're seeing, instead of quantitative easing, because they debased the dollar so tremendously, printed it into oblivion. Now we're seeing runaway inflation. So what are they doing now? Instead of quantitative easing, we're seeing quantitative tightening. And so what Michael Burry was getting at here is, just watch. It's actually, I think his tweet was even in the Bloomberg article. I can just show it to you if it is. I think it's right here. Yeah, here we go. Here's the tweet from Michael Burry. This is from June 27th. He said, "The supply glut at retail is the bullwhip effect. Google it. Worth understanding for your investing endeavors. Deflationary pulses from this. Disinflation in CPI later this year. Fed reverses itself on rates and quantitative tightening cycles." So he's basically saying this is an indicator, and if things persist like this, You're going to see deflationary pressures. And I'll say this too before even going further. With the 3 increases, the 3 rate hikes we've seen this year, we're still at historic lows in terms of interest rates. I can't imagine that being sufficient to in any sort of meaningful way tamp down inflation. I think it's going to take a longer time period and more than that. So as far as what this means for CPI, okay, fine. Maybe you will start to see, maybe even this year, maybe you'll start to see that looks like, you're seeing more of a deflationary pressure, let's say. Is the Fed immediately going to reverse itself from quantitative tightening to more money printing and quantitative easing and decreasing interest rates? Because you understand if they do that, I mean, you need to have some sort of you need to let this thing play out much longer than that. If they're going to do that, my gosh, what you're going to see is that inflation just go right back on up. You go back to the same old crap that you were already doing. I just, and it shouldn't be a surprise that we're in the predicament we're in. You printed the dollar into oblivion, my friends. Like that, not you listening, but the Fed. The Fed is the worst. Jesus, bunch of C students. My God, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just presenting a little bit of skepticism regarding what Michael Berry's saying here. I'd be surprised if the Fed did something like that anytime soon, because it's not like they want to increase interest rates at all, but they really got to do something. Kind of in a bind here, don't you think? And then there's this from you today, Chris Bernisky. Crypto will surpass $3 trillion again and do 10x that by the time we are rolling into the 2030s. Yeah, exactly, which is why I still firmly believe that, and again, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just telling you what I think, and we'll see if I end up being right, and just in a general sense, I think that XRP is going to make a lot of people a lot of money. I think that it is going to be life-changing for people. I firmly believe, despite these scary economic times that we're in, fine, I firmly believe that the everyday person can be in control and can achieve life-changing wealth investing. And I still think, of course, that should include stocks, but it's an XRP-centric channel. Talk a lot about crypto, obviously, as you well know. You absolutely can still achieve life-changing wealth in crypto. I firmly believe that, and that's a very empowering message. You really can. There's so little money in this space. It's just the biggest hurdle to you achieving that will always be yourself, because it's emotions that wreck people, making important financial decisions based on emotion. And while nothing is certain in life, and I'm not pretending like there's no risk, because there's serious risk investing in XRP or anything, even so, I think if you just expect that history is going to kind of at least rhyme with itself, even if not outright repeat, that bodes well for XRP holders. I really firmly believe at some unknown point in the future, it will hit a new time high and it will enter price discovery. That is my bet. I've been making that bet for years on end, and I will be as patient as I need to be to see what happens. Either XRP goes to zero and I lose everything, or it's going to hit a new all-time high. If it goes to zero, fine. Then I'm just going to hold that much XRP and I'm never going to sell it. Fine. It goes to zero, it goes away, fine. I don't think that's happening. On the flip side, I will start selling most or all of it once it gets to levels where I'm sufficiently enticed, let's say. And so this guy is talking about the idea of crypto, the asset class, being worth so much more in the future, and he's hitting the nail on the head. And it's so hard for people to believe this is true in times like this when the prices are down. When people, I mean, I'm telling you, it's probably 75 to 80% of people that were paying attention to crypto a little over a year ago, like think of like April of last year, probably 75 to 80% of them don't think about crypto for 1 second on any single day. They're gone. They sold. They're out. They don't know what they're doing. Typical retail speculator. But you're here and you're paying attention. You're paying attention to crypto. And I appreciate the support even specifically on my channel. but check out this. Chris Bernisky, a partner at Placeholder and former cryptocurrency manager at Cathie Wood's ARK Invest, made some pretty optimistic predictions about crypto market capitalization and went on a tirade against people who have despaired and lost faith in cryptocurrencies during the current bear market. Responding on Twitter to a post by one such person, Bernisky delivered a phrase with the epicness worthy of Muhammad Ali or Winston Churchill. Well, I will say, that's a bit of an oversell. That's a little bit too dramatic. Okay, I like the flavor a little bit. It's a little strong. All right, I'm just saying. But here's what was actually written. So there's a person who calls themselves on Twitter Depression BTC, and this person, it's no disrespect to the person. It's just the type of comment, thought process that you'd expect from somebody that just started investing, or maybe just this is the first down cycle that they're seeing in crypto. It's what you would expect, but it's this person wrote the following. First time trading crypto that I'm sort of coming to terms with the non-zero chance that we don't have another cycle to bring us past $3 trillion market cap again. Every single narrative that was supposed to get Bitcoin to $100,000 or ETH to $10,000 has played out already. What is left? Okay, I can understand the sentiment. And it is true that there's no guarantee that this stuff won't go to zero. I've made my bet. I don't believe that XRP is. I certainly don't believe that. Always reserve the right to change my opinion in case, in terms of adoption, starts looking worse, or, as the class matures and XRP is no longer being useful to people. Okay, fine. Then I'll talk about that at the time if that happens. But no, I'm not personally worried about that. But I acknowledge that where I suspect things are going to go, I could be off. I could be. In which case it goes to zero and I lose everything, right? So I've always been aware of that. It's a shame that you're just now realizing that none of this was guaranteed, okay? But look, when it comes to these price expectations, when Bitcoin in 2017 hit its then all-time high of close to $20,000, there are people insisting that, hey, in 2018, it's going to blast through $100,000, man. $100,000, but except for that was actually the tippy top of that particular market cycle, and it bottomed out December 15th, 2018 at about $3,200. So you're always going to see people calling for these things and talking about why it could do that, but nobody freaking knows for sure. And maybe we would have seen XRP at an all-time high this cycle if not for the SEC versus Ripple case. It's possible. I don't know. But either way, none of this is over, so what the hell do I care? But anyway, in seeing this tweet from Depression BTC, Chris Berniski retweeted it and wrote the following. Near every bottom, people lose conviction that there will be another top. Not only will crypto surpass $3 trillion again, it will do 10x that by the time we are rolling into the 2030s. Look, in a general sense, and I'm not putting a timestamp on this, not for real, but at some point in the future, why wouldn't we see $3 trillion again in terms of crypto market cap and then a 10x from there? That doesn't sound wacky at all. $30 trillion market cap? Yeah. Why wouldn't we, let enough time pass? And I don't know exactly how much time would have to pass to see that. Yeah, it's so early. It is so early right now. People are losing sleep over this stuff. But he is right here also. He said, near every bottom, people lose conviction that there will be another top. Yeah, doomsday, going to zero. And people even think that about the stock market. Look at human nature. Like, there's really not going to be a bottom for stocks and companies. They're just going to seek to exist. And there will be no economy in the United States. We're all going to hell in a handbasket. People don't think through these things. That's the point, though. Of course, that's silly. People don't think through it like that. There's so much opportunity here. All right. I'll get off my soapbox. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I'm glad, seriously, that we're going on this journey together. At least we're still paying attention to this stuff. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. So that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.